Welcome everyone, I'm Bruce Swartz. Thanks so much for subscribing. Thanks for the interest, everyone, the support and the shares. It's important to share these. We're looking at the surface of the moon. This is a structure or structures on the top there where the arrow is. A beautiful straight wall, runs for many, many miles. This is not talked about much. When I post it, I don't get many trolls. But when I don't post it, I get many trolls. It's the surface. Clear up proof, guys. Now, here's an explanation that I've never, ever taken the time to properly get into. See that little line there coming down? Looks like a patch or gray, dripped all the way up that goes upwards here. This is a patch that is over 90% of all the structures, and it's how the corridors for them to get through to other craters and structures and to reach other places. The complexity in the way the surface is formed and was built is beyond imagination. And not many people are going to believe it until they probably see it themselves with a telescope. Upon zooming up on this one, we could see the crater in the center has what I always say is like the line of toothpaste at the bottom of the darkness in that slit. Well, many of the craters have this shape. They all have the same form. Not all of them, but most of them. When you look up in detail, this is an x-ray, look at all the lines and bumps on the surface, how they are intricately placed side by side, especially right here. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has to be something constructed. All the proof is here. When we look inside, we can see other objects side by side inside of the crater that look like constructed objects also, because it's all a setup. We could see it all here, this line all connected at the bottom. It's all different constructed objects. Look at the bumps on the surface. Look at the bumps here all over the photo. Here, this crater, and this crater have the same construction. There are many similar craters. Here looks like a train tunnel going in, no jokes. Another tunnel here, or pipe going into the surface. I mean, it's all there. Look inside of this crater. Also has objects or bumps that we could see symmetrically placed side by side on the surface. So we get a view of the surface color too. Purples and greens on the surface. We've heard the astronauts themselves, one of them, I think it was Buzz Aldrin, say, "Look, Neil, look at all the purple rocks." The lights that are here, that I've placed just now over top here, the little stars, that's what we're getting back as a reflection. Usually this is a very bright surface and we don't see the intricate detail of each structure. They're all there. It's proof. All these objects that are side by side in line, and, you know, it's constructed objects. The evidence of construction is hard to deny. Now, I don't know if it's deliberate the way they set it up for us not to be able to recognize it, or maybe not. Maybe it's just the fact that they're doing their thing and we're doing our thing. Aliens, you know, in movies, we hear that they're evil, you know, that they have plans of kidnapping us, experimenting on us. Now, hear me out, don't get me wrong. I believe there could be some experimentation. But there's a lot to take into factor. Let's say they're the ones that created us. They have to upkeep us, don't they? How can ejecta, supposed ejecta, be all the same size of lava flows? Think of it. We're seeing hundreds of objects of the same width. Different shapes, yes, but in general, they look like tunnelization that crosses paths and go north, south, east, and west. They're going in every direction. Once I located, 2 years ago, all these massive platform-like structures, upon zooming up, I found this, smaller structures on top of these platformed objects, and whether the structuring be like a building, a structure, or a mechanical object, either way, I think it's built, and it's just obvious. This is not natural formation, and if it is, they would have studied this natural phenomenon of a formation. definitely, and they would have talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, but they don't. They say it's volcanic rock, and that's it. It's a very bright surface that we're having a hard time to see, but when you get in and you do the work and you show these photos, which are not always pleasant to look at unless you're an avid researcher, of course, and you're really curious to know the truth, these are appreciated for sure. It's never mentioned. It's right beside Bianchini crater, and there are a lot of independent structures on the surface that are all connected to each other, and they run along in line symmetrical paths with anywhere from 10 to 20 objects simultaneously placed side by side, whether we know what they are or not. Nonetheless, very intriguing. All these structures are being overlooked and have never been documented because they're just too small for our eyes to see. In reality, by zooming up, we could see the symmetrical platforms. Look at this beside Bianchini crater. It's really there. When you zoom up with a telescope, you can even see it with a smaller telescope. It's just a little blurry. But the more you get in, you start seeing smaller structures like these that are between the platformed objects, and so on and so forth as you zoom in more and more. Such a beautiful thought to imagine that these could be ancient Mayan styled habitats. That's incredible. No, even in the platformed symmetrical objects, I mean, yeah, anyone can make a straight line. I think it's the basic into symmetry, right? But for making symmetrical structures, I don't know. Could they be structures that are actually chiseled out of the rock? Have we ever heard of any civilization that is or was good at chiseling objects, massive objects, hello, in rocks? Yes, the Egyptians. Some people write about the Egyptians as being alien-like, that possibly maybe since they were so advanced had been themselves visited by alien visitors or were aliens themselves.